Hello, this is one mana left. I've got what I believe will be the final build for me. Not finals, and I won't play anything else, but this is like the end game build for me. The 6k Delve build, the Planet Eater build for 323. I'm sure play some other stuff. I'll maybe screw around with like some Flicker, Power Siphon, whatever. We'll see. I might play a little Mana Forged. But last league, I made a character named Victor Wemben Mana, who I will confidently say, you can fight me on this, was the strongest character in 322. And it was not close. Victor went to Delve 6000. He had around 10 billion DPS. He had 30k energy shield and recovered that in a fraction of a second. This league, I had the option to play Mana Forge again for what I will plan on being my 6k Delve build. Instead, I did a little bit of testing on a different Archmage setup. Now, some of you might have seen the Archmage video where I did the battery vortex setup with Blade Vortex and reverse snapshotting. This is using the same mechanic, but it's making it much more playable. Because it's a little bit of a clunky build to do for anything besides bossing. Like, if you're just going to line up a boss to the gallows and just kill it in a fraction of a second, it's awesome. You'll probably not play a smoother boss setup than that. But for an all-arounder, trying to do, like, mobile content and stuff, it's super clunky to play. So I've been doing theory crafting last league on how do I make this smooth? How do I make it automated? How do I make it mobile? Everything. And I actually settled on something that, in my testing, has gone pretty dang smooth. It's a pretty fun setup, so I'll walk you through it right here, and I'll show you some of the power of it. So the setup is the same idea of using reverse snapshot with a battery staff, but it's using cast while channeling. So you'll see in the demos here, but what I'm doing is I'm cycloning around, and you'll see I'm dropping penance brands. It only shows 6 on the icons when I'm in my hideout for whatever reason. But I have 7 brands maximum. So I have these 2 and these 2. And I'm just spitting them out for about 1k mana cost constantly. You can see my ES moving. The thing is, when I press Arcane Cloak, the cost goes to 38.3k. Which is obviously more than my mana has, but to kind of refresh what's happening here, is my combined mana and energy shield is around 40,000, as you can see. So 38.3k is less than 40,000, and since it's in a battery staff, that means I am able to spend it. So it's getting the damage bonus from Archmage. Watch more in the Archmage video if you want a little bit more in-depth explanation on this. But the cast when channeling setup is actually kind of nice because it automates it. So you might think, well, doesn't it just immediately cast and kill you after? It can't. It can't cast and kill me. Once I cloak, because I'm missing the mana, I can't cast this again until I get to 16k mana, which doesn't happen until after the duration of the Indigon stacks, at which point it will no longer kill me. The immediate moment the Indigon stacks fall, I'll be at like 13k mana, regenning back, and it will go back to just spitting out brands ready for the next cloak. So you'll just do 7 brands, then you'll cloak, then you will keep spinning. It doesn't cast. It doesn't cast. As long as your I'll go over the loot more, but as long as your cost is above like 94%, and then boom, I'm back again. Let's just show the power. Do I have the POB open right now? I don't. Let me check this right here. This setup has, let's see here. I don't think this is my current setup. Hang on. Let me get my current setup here. It's slightly outdated. It's from a couple days ago, so I've kind of gone a little bit beyond this gear. But my current setup has about 1 billion per brand on 7 brands. So my AoE is about 6 billion. I also have a swap setup for single target where I don't use cast when channeling and I manually cast. That setup is meant for single target and it's about 2 billion. Those are really stupid numbers. There's not much content in this game that requires those numbers. If I fully POB warriored this, I could get this to like 6 bill per brand. So like 40 bill AoE. That's actually too much damage for Delve. Even 6k Delve, everything just melts instantly. And the difference between like 2 billion and 10 billion even in 6k delve, is pointless. However, this league we've had the addition of some fun new content. We've had Valdo's maps added. Valdo's maps can sometimes have some pretty crazy tank modifiers. This one has Union of Souls, which means the entire map has that blue pack mod where they all gain like soul eater stacks and they get bigger and get more HP and stuff. And it's got the Feared. Albeit this is not the tankiest mod for the Feared, because it's pretty much just Feared with like an insane amount of health, but they can't go over 2 billion with this setup. There's other maps, though, that, for example, here's a Mageblood map. It doesn't have the Feared. I'm going to try to run one with Feared later, but I have to sell this Mageblood during the video and buy it. We'll see if that works. But it has 90% damage reduction per item equipped. I have 9 items equipped. And I'm not going to take any off, because I don't need to. So I'm going to go in with a 90% damage reduction. They're also 100% Delirious, which gives bosses an 80% reduction. So that's times 0.2 times 0.1, that's a 98% reduction on damage, which makes their effective health 4 billion straight up. More than a max HP delve monster. There will be a Kosis and an Omniphobia in this map. There's not a Feared, but both those monsters will have 4 billion HP. Then there's also rare monsters take 90% from 100 Delirium, so I'll have 99% reduction there. Magic and white monsters take 96% reduction from Delirium, so they will have a 99.6% reduction. So this will be a very tanky map. This map actually has pretty decent margins, like 15 divines, just because it's so annoying to run. Just because everything's so tanky. And then I'll do just kind of a chill map. But I'll show this off. One last shout out, I guess, before I just to illustrate some of the power. Our mana stackers have taken over the world, by the way. We got our boy Shitstain Steve, who is also Turd Twister. This is the same person. He delved on this character until about 6k and then re-rolled to his Hierophant. I started playing this build about 4 or 5 days ago, and he's trying it out in Delve right now. And from me talking to him, he says it's playing very smooth, and he's dying very infrequently. But then we've got Among Us and Nier at 2 and 3 playing Mana Forged Arrows. So right now, the Delve podium is Mana Stacker, Mana Stacker, Mana Stacker. That does put a smile on my face. But let's show the power in a Valdo's map here, because I'm not at 6k right now. Alright. This map is Feared Union of Souls. Wouldn't it be funny if I did all that talking and just splatted right away? I can die in these. I don't do the Void ones. It's fine. I do the ones that have insane tank mods, and no one wants to run because of how tanky they are. I'm just going to look for the Feared first. I'll kill some. But, there's the Feared. Okay. They're all together usually, so let's see if I can just splat them. Well, they're gone. No, it's Ziri's up. It's Ziri's up. No, it's Ziri and Chayula are up. Okay, now Chayula's gone. Alright, that was the Feared. I was gonna hopefully get them in one cloak just to flex, but I didn't. Okay, whatever. Sue me, it took 2 cloaks. But that's just because, just for reference, that's not because Ziri and Chayula lived. It's because they didn't get a brand put on them. If they would have had a brand put on them, they would have died. I got 3 out of 5 the first pass through, and then the other 2 the next pass through. But you'll notice on this map, everything has like max Union of Soul stacks, so all the monsters are enormous. So this is very, very, very tanky. Like, Lance has a build right now that's a Trickster. That is probably the... Oh, we got a Storm. That is probably the best build for doing, like, the hardcore Valdo's maps that have, like, Void. Let me just go through this. So, when it comes to not dying in some of those maps, I would say his build is probably the best right now. There's maybe a few hidden ones out there, like Rudy's cooked something up that he's got private. But, the Lance build is probably at least the known winner to run hardcore content on these. The thing is, though, that build, when it runs, like, the Union of Souls, 90% reduction, 100% Delirious stuff, it straight up takes, like, 40-plus minutes to run some of those maps. So there's been other people running Valdo's maps this leagues that are kind of using that setup. They don't like maps like this just because they take that long. So it's... they aren't in danger of dying. It's just so much tankiness that it's, like, not even worth them running. It just takes so long. Whereas, you know, the maps they can run, though, are sometimes, like, 40 to 100 divine margin. These maps are only, like, 10 to 15 margin, because no one wants to run them. But they're, like, impossible to fail. For this build, at least. It's just, like, a damage check. And this build has all the damage in the world. So, you can't exactly fail a damage check. Alright. Now comes the part where we play Where's Valdo and find whatever monsters I'm supposed to kill still, that it's not giving me my Mageblood yet. Or no, this is a Watcher's Eye one. This is the next one's a Mageblood one. Alright. Where's Valdo? Come on. Who's left? There he is. Alright. Not too bad. Alright, I'll do a Mageblood one now. So, this one's annoying because of all the tank mods, but unfortunately it requires you to not be below 20% life, which is super annoying for low life builds, because they have Calling Strike below 20% life. But this one actually makes for a funny demonstration. So, I'm gonna drop my Grace. I'm gonna drop my Haste, excuse me. I'm going to run Discipline instead. Because I have to get my reservation above 20%. So, how do I do that? I'm going to tweak the numbers here real quick, make sure I get it right. That is too high? Too high? Do quick math here. Oh, that's way too high. 541 divided by 2819. Ah! I need like an 18 clarity. Alright, I'll just use the low level. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It does not matter enough to be missing it a little bit. Okay. So, I'm going to make sure I get to full here real quick, because I don't have any natural regen right now. Alright, I'm above 20% life now. So, this is one of the tankiest mods in the game. Or maps in the game. It's for Foil Mageblood. And it's, like I said, 90% reduction with 100% Delirious, which is between 98 and 99.6% reduction. There will be a Kosas and an Omniphobia, which have like 60 mil base, or 50 or 60 mil base HP, so they'll effectively have 4 billion. And I don't quite have like my ideal setup on because I'm having to like swap auras out and stuff. But the other thing you'll notice is a lot of people don't like core skating setups. This build doesn't actually dip that low. It actually just dips down to 40 and then regens back. It's not really in danger to core skating deaths. So funny enough, this is a Foil Mageblood map that has to be ran with no core skating. So if people think, oh, I don't want to run core skating elixir, it's too you're just gonna die when Flask isn't up. Well, I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is, because I'm gonna run a Mageblood map where if I fail, I lose a Mageblood. But I've ran this 6 times now and I've not died once. I don't think. We'll see. See how this goes. This will be probably the only map I do today that will still look somewhat tanky. Stuff will kind of live. Also, it's the Shroud Walker one, which is... Okay, there's Omniphobia. He is going to live a brand. With 98 reduction, he will be the only monster, besides Kostas today, who lives 1 brand. Let's see if I get him in 2, though. There he is. No, I'm not going to get him in 2 even. Wow. That's a 3-brand Omniphobia. Alright, we'll get one more on him here. There's Kosas. The Shroud Walker is so annoying. It's both annoying and funny. Alright. There's the Kosas. Let me see if I can 2-brand him, maybe. He does have the extra energy shield, too. Omni just has 4 billion HP. But, Kosas has his, like, energy shield thingy he does, which is, like, 50% of his life. So with all the damage reduction, he's gonna have about 8 billion because of his ES. So, it's gonna be, like, a 4-brand Kosas with 8 billion HP. Maybe I'll get him this one? Nope, next one. But, like, you know, plenty tanky still. Oh, the Omni's still up. Okay, well, let me get him real quick. Alright, Omni's down now. The only annoying thing about this map is just because of the layout, it's sometimes really annoying to clear. Like, I will oftentimes play a lot of Where's Valdo in this map and just be looking for the last monster. But, it's pretty chill, though. It's just tanky. Like, that's really it. But, like, remember, all the giga tanky characters that can do some of the, like, void maps. Oh, that was a lot of damage taken. Oh, that was a double cast. My bad. That shouldn't happen, but that was not me taking... I'll explain double casting a little bit. That you just saw a double cast. That was not damage taken. That was not a monster hitting me. I accidentally had my trigger happen for the cat. Like, remember I showed you earlier the cost was 38,000? There's a way to screw it up if you do something wrong, where it will accidentally trigger a cost, and you just see me lose all my energy shield there. It didn't kill me, but that's a good illustration. I'll go over how to not make that happen. But the monsters themselves in this map have not really damaged me. I've gone to like half, but I wasn't in danger because I have instant leech in this setup, so pretty much my recovery is from when I press cloak. I just have insane recovery. When I'm doing delve or above ground content, that's not an issue because just my normal penance brand leech caps me. But because all the trash monsters in this have a 99.6% reduction, I don't actually leech cap when I don't have cloak up. So you'll see me just... You're alive still? What? You'll see me just wither down, and then only when I press cloak do I leech hard enough to cap myself again. So, like, a couple... Like, when I was fighting the Coasts earlier, you maybe saw me dip down to, like, half. And then the second I press cloak, I leech to full. But in, like, Delve, that doesn't happen. Because there's not a 99.6% damage reduction in Delve. It's just tons of HP. So that makes the instant leech very potent. And I don't need to have cloak up to leech cap and be, like, immortal. But it is a bit of an issue in these maps. Alright, like I said, the annoying part about this one is, like, the Where's Valdo game. Because, I almost borderline didn't, like, I was on the fence on this one, because, like, this is such an annoying map to do, that I almost didn't want to include it in the video. Just because, like, I was afraid I was going to spend 4 minutes looking for the last 5 monsters. But, like, at the same time, this is one of the best demonstrations of the damage, so I felt I had to. See, like, 28, hopefully this is the last one. 28 remaining. Oh, I've had the wrong flask on the entire video. Whoops. That's awkward. I've had my Mjolner flask on the entire video. I've been missing like 30% damage this whole video. That's hilarious. Alright, so just whatever you saw in your head up until that point, pretend I had like an extra 80 cast speed or whatever. Just pretend I was doing a lot more damage. Whoops. Okay, well maybe we'll get one final demo here with some you know, the full power. All right, like I said, the annoyance of this map is finding the final monsters is like impossible. It's got to be near the start, right? All right, this is gonna. Normally, for the sake of this guy, this is the guy be the last guy, right? Really? Alright, you guys are cowards. You're hiding. You need to come out and fight me. Stop hiding. See, normally I just cut out here and be like, it's not worth showing. But there's a Mageblood on the line, so I have to get the Mageblood. You guys can understand, right? Just skip ahead 2 minutes. Just tell yourself that I got the Mageblood. It just took 2 minutes. Alright, there we go. There we go. Okay, abandon this 2 minute skip. You're done. No 2 minute skip. There we go. Mageblood. Boom. 4 flask. Easy. Nope. 3. Whatever. Alright. So. That was one of the tankiest maps there is. Just to show off. Yeah. 1, you don't really need coruscating. And 2, kind of do a lot of damage. Because even like an 8 billion health Kosis, where I had my attack speed flask on for Mjolner, which I'll go over in a little bit. I still did that much damage, but okay. I got 2 more demos, and then I'll talk about some of the mechanics. So I'm going to swap back. I'm going to put my Frostblink here. I'm going to swap back to Haste. And that should be it. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Well, that was an easy swap back. Okay. Let's see this Watcher's Eye. Boom! Pride inflicts 2 impales. Alright. So this setup is really good with weapon swaps. I do have a single target staff. It's kind of pointless because, like I said, it's 1 billion per brand right now on the, what do you call it? You know what? Let's just do big damage. It's 1 billion per brand right now on the caster and channeling staff. But the single target staff is like 2 billion. So I'll see if I can do some flex damage here. Or I'll splat. We'll see. That'd be funny. So I decided to do an Uber Exarch as is tradition. There he is, Uber. And I decided, you know, I've been doing these just Alch and go. I figured I'd get some high quant on this one. So this is a 113 quant. And he's going to have 50% of his life as extra energy shield. So he'll have a little extra bit of tankiness. Let's see if I can make him go splat. Let me test something real quick. Do I not have Conk Effect in here? I do have Conk Effect. What am I missing? Am I missing Lightning Pen? Let's see what Lightning Pen does here. Ah, whatever. I'll just do this. Fuck it. Alright. 113 Quan Exarch. Who you guys betting on? Who you guys betting on? I'm gonna press the button. Alright, there's 2 billion. It was two ticks. The brand ticks like every 150 milliseconds, and it was 2 ticks. And he still had his damage reduction up, by the way. Exarch starts the fight with a 90% damage reduction that goes down like every second. He was probably still at like 60 or 70 damage reduction when those 2 ticks came through. So, if you guys don't know what like Valdo's content is, you might think that like, oh, he just cleared a map. Or, oh, he killed the Feared. That's impressive. But like, it's maybe hard to register what a 98% damage reduction looks like when you don't like see it compared to a piece of content you know. So, yeah. That's the single target swap setup. I figured I'd just show that off. But, yeah. I'm going to show one more map just for, you know, just to see if we can get some nice smooth gameplay. These are sometimes annoying because sometimes I'll roll a mod here that has, like, you know, reflect or I have to change something in the setup. We'll see if I roll one. Cannot leech. There we go. Cannot leech, so my instant leech, my entire form of recovery is gone. Alright, sweet. So this is a decently hard map. It's a quad ghost, 100% delirium map. And we got a Voidborn key that I'm definitely going to open during this video. So normally I have a pretty crazy amount of recovery because I am hitting so many targets with instant leech, and now I don't have any recovery. So that's a good indicator there. So normally the recovery is like off the charts. And I can't really die that way. Oh, I had rat. Oh, no, I know how I die. I know how I die. Okay. What happened there was I normally have like 82 evasion. And I decided to flex on that Exarch. So I switched to Wrath for the Exarch. And I forgot to switch back to 82% evasion. So I'm taking like 6 times the attack damage on top of not having leech there. But yeah, normally I have 82 evade, which makes these maps pretty tanky. But I accidentally switched to Wrath to flex on Exarch. But, oh, there's a Mageblood sale. Hang on. No, he found another one. Don't worry. Alright, so this map has the Elder Slayers, which are not that scary, to be honest. But the thing that makes them scary is the 4 ghosts. Like, a lot of content in this game is not scary. Okay, we have a double... Oh, shit. Okay, well, they're dead. A lot of content in this game is not scary until you throw 4 ghosts on it. Okay, the reason I'm doing this trade mid-video, I know this is going to seem unprofessional, but I want to buy one more Feared Mageblood map. And I don't have enough currency to buy 2 Mageblood maps right now, so I have to sell this one to buy the next one if I want to do one more. Alright. Pause, champ. We did it. Don't leave party, always kick. It sends a message. Alright. So, let me finish this Elder Slayer map. I was hoping to show, like, how smooth and comfy this is. And then it looks like I die instantly. Which sucks, because I didn't put Grace on. Which is, like, 82% extra defense. But, okay. Ignoring, you know, we make errors. You know, sometimes we start the video with the wrong flask on. Sometimes... Oh, there's some people. Sometimes we, you know... forget 82% evasion. Mistakes happen, alright? Mistakes happen. Alright, I think I saw a couple Elder Slayers over here. I haven't seen them yet, so they have to be over here. Alright. Well, more Tinks, but... These maps are also really juicy just for natural drops, because, like, you know... There's so many, like, Arch Nemesis modifiers and 100% Delirium and stuff. It just makes the loot, like, crazy. Alright, there's my Valdo's box. That's good. No excessive searching. That's not a headhunter. Twisteds are like a divine right now, though. They drop a lot of those. Alright. So, aside from having no Grace turned on, that was pretty smooth. Did I make money? Reduce crit determination, plus evade grace, and cold damage hit. That's money right there. That's easy money. Alright, let's talk about the setup. So I touched on this a little bit, but the whole point is that you want to have your cast when channeling triggering all the time until you cloak. When I cloak, my new cost is 38,294. So let's look at this. Now, the amount of energy shield I have is 222, 226, no, 1 extra 2. And I have 17,673 mana. So my combined is 39.9k. So that 38,274 number divided by 38, 39,899, whatever it was, is 96%. This is a good number. You want the number between at least 94, 95 is probably safer. Between like 94 and 99%. The reason I say 99 is because sometimes you'll get screwed because you'll calculate it with Insightfulness, which has a 10% reduction. Now this additive with Indigon stack, so it's almost no difference, but it's about a 100 difference. So that'll make like a 0.3% difference. You don't want to have like 99.9%. And then if you take damage and you're not on full energy shield, you lose all your damage. So I would say stop at 99 just to account for Insightfulness. But try to get your cost in between 94 or 5 and 99% of your total combined here. And remember, the reason it doesn't double cast is because when it costs 38,274 and I have 22,226 mana, it will not cast unless I also have 16,048 mana available, which is not possible because you'll see my stacks drop when the cloak drops because it's also 4 seconds. Boom, 13k mana. So I'm 3k short being able to double cast. And as you look at the timing here, pretty much right when cloak comes back off cooldown, I'm back to full mana. So let's talk about something to avoid. Boom. Okay. In that Haunted Mansion map, you saw me take a hit for like 30,000, and it looked like I got hit really hard by something. That wasn't the monsters in the map. That was myself. I accidentally double cast. The way you accidentally double cast is 2 ways. One is your cost is too low. So if my combined cost was only like 35k, and my total is 39k, then what can happen is if it gets, maybe it's 34, 33, whatever, it gets low enough that I cloak, I start to regen mana, and before the Indigon stacks fall, I get high enough that I'm able to cast a brand. And so guess what cast when channeling does? It casts the brand, and it dang near kills you. That's what's known as double casting. You do not want to double cast. After cloak is up for the next 4 seconds, you never want to cast your main nuke. And with the old setup, you had to just manually do this. But with the cast when channeling setup, this automates it. So as long as you're between like 94 and 99%, it should be automated. However, there's one thing to watch out for. And that is if you cloak when you're not on full mana. Because it only costs 38k because of Indigon spending the full amount of 11.5k for a cloak. But watch what happens. Like, let's say you're only at 80% mana when you cloak. Then your cloak will only be like a 9k cloak in this case. Which means you'll only get like 80% as many Indigon stacks. Which means instead of your brand costing 38k, now it'll cost 80% of that and it'll only be like 32k. 32k means you only need to get back to 10k mana. Which is like, you know, just over half in my case. So if I were to cloak at 80% mana, I can get back to only like half, and it will cast again, and it will nearly kill me, or kill me. It doesn't kill you, but if you get hit by a monster at like the same time, it can kill you. That's why I didn't die in the Valdo's map, but you could die in that situation. But the way this happens typically is you like take chaos damage and you don't have core skating up. So that Valdo's map, I had to take off core skating elixir because of the 20% call mod, which means I probably took a hit of chaos damage right before I cloaked, which knocked me down like 2k mana. Then I cloaked at not full mana, and then I got back up to like 60% or whatever, and then I double cast. So because I got hit by chaos damage right before I cloaked, because I was in a map that didn't have core skating on, I double cast, and it's deadly. So the way around that, obviously, you know, core skating lasts 12 seconds. My cloak rotation is only 6 or 7. It's pretty easy to keep full uptime, but you just have to be mindful. Do not cloak when you're not full mana. If you're like dropping these nodes and you're like don't run mana, you don't have like any mana regen, you might not get back to full. Or if you're just spamming cloak on cooldown, you're just gradually lowering your mana. Maybe you cloak at first at 100, then at 95, then at 90, then at 85. And finally, the 4th time you cloak at 80, and then you double cast and it kills you. So you need to make sure you're only cloaking at full mana. There's a little bit to help this is what I do is I link Arcane Cloak to level 21 Arcane Surge, which gets all the scaling from the Hierophant and like the Arcane Capacitor Arcane Surge effect. So it's times 2.2. So instead of just the base Hierophant level 1 Arcane Surge that gives 30% regen, this gives 60. But it's 60 times 2.2. So it's actually giving me 132 mana regen instead of the regular 60. So it's plus 72 regen, which times, 1.75% per second times 7 seconds means I'm getting like an extra, I lost myself. I'm getting like 10 to 15, 10 to 20% extra mana back by having that link. So I would definitely have that link just to make sure you're getting back to full. But just remember that. Do not cloak when you're not full mana. And try to overlap core skating if you're doing hard content. Also, I said I was going to open this map on this video, so let's do that. I'll go over briefly how to... Okay. Let's see what the loot is here. We got a brass dome with +4. There we go. Alright. So the way you get your cost to between 95 and 99% is a couple things. The first is the level of your Arcane Cloak. The second is your multiplier on your Indigon. In my case, it's a 52%. I have like 17k mana, so I can get away with 52%. If you only have like 14k mana, you have to run like a 60. So tweak your Indigon percentage if you need to get... If you're lower on mana, you want a higher cost. If you're higher on mana, you want a lower cost to reach that equilibrium. But you can tweak it with cloak level. If I really wanted to, I don't actually use this discipline gem. This is just to have Vaal Discipline. I'm not even reserving it. It doesn't actually, I'm currently not using it. So if you wanted to put an Empower in here, like some level 3 Empower or level 4 Empower, whatever, you can get a few more cloak levels to spend more. That can get you into that threshold of like 94+%. Other things you can do is simply get more mana. Because of how Archmage works, it gives you a flat percent mana. And the Indigon stacks give you more stacks based off how much your cloak spends, which as your mana increases the Indigon stacks. So it double dips. So basically, if you take your mana and double it, your cost will 4 times, because you'll have double the Archmage base and double the Indigon stacks. So what that means is basically the higher mana you have, the higher percentage your cost will be. If you take a person that has 13k mana, and they're trying to get their spend set up, and then they sit there, and they have 80% cost, if you took that 13k mana, changed nothing else, and then upped them to like 16k mana, they would have like 95 or 98 cost, whatever. Just upping mana ups the cost. But like I said, you can pull this off with as low as like 13k. The thing is, you just need to have like a high Indigon, or maybe even a higher cloak. The other thing that comes into play is the mana multipliers on the gems themselves, but I would say these are fairly non-negotiable links. It's a little trickier on the single target staff, but yeah. I was gonna buy another feared map, but I think the video is getting a little long. I've probably shown off enough. I'll go over the staff crafting now, okay? That's the big thing here, is how to craft the staff. If you want to see me do more feared Mageblood maps, watch me on Twitch. But I'll go over the staff crafting real quick. So in the Righteous Fire swap Archmage setup, I use a staff like this. The way you craft these is basically you Awakener Orb. On this one, you do Elder. Normally, this one doesn't have it. Normally, you do Elder with 20% more spell damage Shaper mod, and then level 10 power charge on critical Elder mod. Now, you have 4 power charges as a Hierophant minimum. However, the reason you really want that isn't just the fact that it's a 16% more damage prefix. That's good. But the reason you really want it is because it's another link. It's a 1.2 times mana multiplier. So that really gets you into the point where you can achieve that like 94% plus cost with a lower total mana pool. So that extra 20% link is a big deal. So like mine currently has the more spell damage, but it's got like the Essence Lightning Pen. Normally I would say this would have a normal staff would be 20% more spell damage with the power charge on crit. You take the Elder, the Shaper, you smush them together with an Awakener Orb, and then you try to get a good third prefix. I try for mana. This one is only tier 5. There's like 12 tiers of mana. I would say like 6 or higher is probably alright. It's like a 50-50 if you hit mana. When you fuse them together with Awakener Orb, there's a bunch of things you can do to try to get a good third mod. You could get like Elia's Extra Chaos or Lightning Pen, or Ellie Pen, potentially, as like another influence mod. But if you want to hit mana, honestly the way to do it is you either naturally hit it, or you get an open prefix, you block caster, slam, that lowers the mod pool because mana is not a caster mod. There's a lot of caster mods on staff prefixes though. That cuts away a large part of the pool. The power charge on crit modifier is not a caster mod, but the 20% spell damage mod is a caster mod. So if you do hit a bad modifier, you have cannot roll caster mods on suffix for 1 divine, a brick mod that you slammed, the 20% more mod, and power charge on critical. The 20% more mod is protected by the cannot roll caster. You cannot annul that. The brick mod obviously is not a caster because you just slammed it with cannot roll caster. And then the peacock can roll off, so you have a 50-50. So basically the method for this is you just sit there, just send Awakener Orb attempts, you just fuse these, and every time you get a fused one with 2 mods, you sit there and manipulate it with like annuls and exalts to try to get a good third modifier. I like mana. There's other good third modifiers, but mana is probably the easiest to play and build around. Once you get the 3 prefixes, you just need to have an open suffix. You clean the suffixes with lock prefix. Then you have to have lock prefix on again. And then Betrayal, tier 4, Aisling. Try to hit one of 3 modifiers. Alright. The stream just cut out. I lost internet for 1 second and it interrupted the clip. So I'm going to just continue where I left off. Basically, you're just Awakener Orbing to get 3 prefixes. And once you do that, you go to Betrayal, you get a T4 Aisling, lock prefixes. You guarantee get a suffix. That's one of the Veiled mods. And then you block damage over time, unveil, try to hit double damage focus, because that's the best mod, because your damage happens during a 4-second window anyways. And then the second best mod would be the cast speed one is okay. And then like the third best would be the crit near unique enemy. Rare unique is also good. You get one of those 3 mods. If you miss completely, it's rare, but it happens. You clean the prefixes and go again. And then you kind of just have the Veiled mod as the 4th mod. You're going to craft one of the 2 mods you didn't roll. So if you roll cast speed, you're going to craft focus. If you roll focus, you're going to craft cast speed. But you have an open suffix still, so you might as well slam it. So you basically block attack speed, or if you want to go real big, you cannot roll attack modifiers. Exalted Orb, see what you hit. Hopefully get a good mod. If you get a garbage mod, you could lock prefix and try the 50-50 null, because going again on Aisling or Veiled Chaos, Aisling's safer because you can fill suffixes with Veiled Chaos, but Veiled Chaos is way cheaper if you're going for a cheap staff. But if you get a really bad mod, you could go again. I did on this staff. I didn't like the first mod I slammed. I slammed 1 mana on kill twice. The third time I slammed int. But then, yeah, basically I got double damage focus. On the third attempt I slammed int, and I craft cast speed. That's how you craft the staffs. Like I said, it's going to be a little awkward stitching this on to the end of the video. But yeah, I'll be able to link to this then if you want to craft staffs this way. But the other thing I'll point out too is power charge on critical can be on your single target staff, but it shares a mod pool with cast when channeling. So you can't do cast when channeling with power charge on critical. So the one I do instead when I combine my Shaper and Elder is I do 1% damage per 10 int on Elder with cast when channeling on Shaper. There's a couple mod combos that all work. That's, I think, the easiest. Pretty much what you're doing is just doing a bunch of Awakener Orb attempts, like 5 or 10, until you get good prefixes that you like, and then just trying to do Veiled on the suffixes, and then fill. And there's a cast when channeling Archmage character at 7250 right now. Playing this build. So, yeah. It's kind of the same thing, you just use int stack instead of Peacock, which means it needs a little bit more mana to do the cast when channeling setup. I think you can pull off the single target setup on like 13k. I think you need 14 or 15 to pull off the cast when channeling setup, but like this is one of the most powerful builds in the entire game. So it's an end game build for sure. This is not a starter. If you want to start off mana stack, you can go Mjolnir or something. But this is like a Planet Eater build, and I'm probably going to delve to 6k with it and do a bunch more Mageblood Valdo maps. I'll see you guys next time.